Alright, welcome to my guide on how to complete every single Raksha combat achievement. We'll start with the Elite tier, move on to the Master tier, then we'll do the Perfect and Unorthodox kills from the Grandmaster tier, and lastly we'll close it out with the Grandmaster speed kill. Enjoy the video, and good luck, have fun. Up is Raksha. We want to get a kill under 2 minutes 45 seconds. We want to get a kill where we do not get stunned by his tail sweep, his charge attack, or his bomb. We want to get a kill where we do not expel his mind flays, so we're just going to tank through those. And we want to get a kill where we do not let him use shadow bombs on P4, as well as not using inner power on P4. Start a solo instance, summon your condors, life transfer, command ghost, invoke death. And then once Raksha stands up, we can use command skeleton. I'm going to use target cycle and tier 95 spec first. And a Dead Skulls, and just making the best use I can of my tier 95 spec. So dodging the tail. I'll bloat here. Still got a little bit of time left on tier 95, so just dodging mechanics, making sure we're not getting hit by rocks. That's always a good thing. I'll refresh bloat. And then we're going to get the mind flays soon. So when we get those, we're not going to want to do anything about them. Normally you'd click them to expel them, but we just want to eat through these. We can bitpot here. And then now I'm going to Living Death. And I'll try my best to get a pool skip. I think I actually threw, so probably better to just do the pools as normal. Clear those. We can threads for those guys. And then back on Raksha. Still in Living Death, so we can do a lot of damage here. Not expelling the mind flays once again, just eat through these. And we're not going to be using action button on P4. So I like to dive close to him before summoning my condors, so that way I'm sure they're attacking him. Then we'll do a Death Skulls, bloat. And just building back up. I'll do Split Soul and go into tier 95. We're not going to be activating Inner Power, so no need to gather any of the shadows that spawn around the arena. And just doing the best damage that we can. Same as before, can't hurt to have full stacks at the start of the fight. Can get those at the wars dummies. Rejoin the instance, summon your condors, extend them, command ghost, invoke death, and then surge up to Raksha. We'll command skeleton, target cycle, and tier 95. We'll do Death Skulls, bloat, and then dump our 5-stack volley. And then just using our tier 95 the best we can. So touch, auto, finger, auto. And we'll skeleton here. Can go ahead and Living Death now at the start of P2. And just do our best Living Death. Also use Split Soul now. That way it comes back for P4. And again, just doing our best damage. This kill we can actually expel the mind flays, so that'll help a little bit. I'm not going to get a pool skip here. So I'll bloat this pool. Threads these guys. And I just want to dump all of my stacks. We don't get to keep our stacks in the phase transition, so just dump everything you have. Entering the phase about a minute 40 should be alright. We'll get new conjures, start with the bloat. Command our conjures. And then we will Living Death. Make sure the boss is vulned. Alright, we'll try and gather some of the shadows around. That way we can activate the button. Split soul. And dump everything we have. And there we go. There's Raksha in under 2 minutes 45 seconds. Alright, for the master tier of achievements, we're going to want to get a sub 1 minute 42 solo kill. We're going to want to have our correct prayers for every single Raksha auto attack. We want to get a kill where we don't move during the rock falls, a kill where we don't have any active shadows on P4, a kill where we don't get any tail swipes on P4 and we force getting bombs, and lastly we want to do a scenario 7 kill. I think the easiest way to go about this is to combine the correct prayers and the no active shadow task with doing the perfect Raksha task. So I'll show you that in the perfect Raksha task. And for now in the master tier, I'll cover how to get the sub 142. All right, I'm going to be doing the no rockfall challenge and the no tail swipe P4 challenge in the same kill. So going to treat it for the most part as a normal kill that we might get a pool skip. So once you phase the boss, just make sure you're standing still. We can use Reflect, Vitality Potion if we wanted to tank through the rocks. And just eat some extra food. Not too big a problem. I'll also extend my conjures here. Go ahead and command Skeleton. And we're going to get Mind Flays as our next spec. So I'll Living Death here. And I'm realizing I'm on the wrong relic setup, so I'm probably not going to get a pool skip, but that's fine. Just standing still during the rock falls, that's the achievement we're going for. We can use Disrupt if we want, and I'll even Vitpot this. Just want to make 100% sure that we don't move until all the rocks have fallen. So going into P4, we're going to want to force getting the Shadow Bomb instead of the Tail Swipe. So to do that, we're going to be standing outside of melee distance. Just doing our best damage. I'll do a tier 95 spec, and after 2 auto attacks, I'm going to want to use Anticipate or Freedom. He'll place a bomb down, and we just run away. It's going to be the same thing here, 2 auto attacks, and then just want to use Anticipate or Freedom. This can be done easier with a clear-headed switch. You can actually make clear-headed last the duration of 2 of those bombs. And here, I'm going to want to wait out my anticipation cooldown actually. So I'll just hide behind the pillar and wait that out. Not a problem. So 2 more auto attacks. He'll do a bomb. Just trying to do some damage in the interim. Can take it slow and steady. Not too big a problem. Freedom for this one. I'm going to have to get new conjures here. Here I don't actually have freedom, so I'll just have to tank through this. You can spam Resonance and get a big heal from that. Anticipate now. And here I'll activate my action button and try and do my best damage. So we're going to have to tank this one again. But there we go. There's a kill where we tanked all the rocks and where we forced all of the specs in P4 to be the bomb attack. This is going to be a Scenario 7 kill at Raksha. This is a Master Combat achievement. So it's going to take about 5.5 minutes to fully set this up. All we're going to want to do in this first phase is just let Raksha go through its attack cycle a bunch of times until we fully charge the bar of Shadow Energy. So we really don't want to do a whole lot of damage. Like I said, it takes 5.5 minutes and it would be easy to overkill Raksha accidentally. Even though Raksha heals, it doesn't really heal that much, so we'll just do our best to dodge mechanics. And we're going to want to remember how we do Scenario 7, as this is going to be a part of the Unorthodox Grandmaster achievement. So just going through the kill as normally, anticipating preemptively for that Shadow Bomb attack, and then I'll step out of the way. We can use Storm Shards during this, as that might help us a little bit in Phase 4. We have enough time where we can stack just about 10 Storm Shards. If you don't have those, it really doesn't matter that much. It won't make or break the kill at all. You could also summon a Phantom Guardian if you wanted to reduce the damage a little bit. You could be using a Hellhound. I'm actually not using any familiars, but you'll see we'll be just fine. You can also make use of Preparation to lower our Resonance cooldown, and we can try and grab some big resonances off some of Raksha's auto attacks. So now we've let Raksha do 2 full attack cycles in the first phase. Raksha will do a tail swipe, followed by a bomb, followed by a tail swipe, another bomb, another tail swipe, and then she'll do this charging mechanic you're about to see here. So she charges up to 30% in the first cycle, does 5 big blasts of energy. I'll res the first one, and then Devotion, Pray Magic for the next 4. Then we're just going to have to repeat this cycle 2 more times, just as you saw. We're going to have one final set of these blast attacks. So I'll Resonance this, Devotion the next 4. And once the blast attacks start, it's just going to be a kill as normal, except everything is going to do more damage. So I'll start off with a Split Soul, tier 95 spec, making sure I'm doing my prayer flicks properly. I'll disrupt this next hit, just dump my big auto attacks, just dumping my big abilities, making use of Death Skulls, Necrosis, and when Raksha's about to tail swipe, I'll dodge out of the way of that. Can redo my skeleton here, see if we can phase it before we get the bomb attack. Alright, we phased it, so now we just want to be dodging the rocks. We don't have to do anything too perfectly now, just playing safe. Like I said, everything does a lot more damage, as you'll see. So when you res, you can pretty much res to full. And now I'm going to be focusing on building up to my Living Death. I'm going to have to get new Conjures, try and expel all the Mind Flays. There's going to be 5 of them now that we've set up Scenario 7. And now I'll just go for my big Living Death. I have the wrong relic setup. This is my ranged relic setup, so I am a little bit not used to the adrenaline. That's fine though. Like I said, really don't have to do anything too perfectly anymore. Just gotta get the kill. So just dodging rocks, can disrupt to be safe. I'll bloat this first section of pools, use threads, and any attacks will kill the pools with Threads of Fate. They're only 1000 HP. I'll clean up those stragglers there. I will go ahead and get rid of the Shadow Manifestation, just makes my life a little bit easier. And we're going to get another Mind Flay attack here. I'll launch a Death Skulls, refresh my bloat. The next special attack in 4 autos is going to be the bomb attack, but you'll see he's going to do a lot more bombs than he normally would. So just make sure that you're anticipated around the 3rd or 4th auto attack. I'm going to summon new conjures and just running around the room, dodging all of those bombs. Careful to grab a resonance, make sure he's full HP. Careful with the prayer flicks. And now we're on to the final phase. So I'll start with the final phase with a tier 95 spec, refresh my bloat, and just do some necrosis abilities, dodging out of the tail swipe, walking back in afterwards, going into death skulls, one more tail swipe here, see how much damage we can do before we get the shield. So here he's going to do the shield. The shield's going to have a lot of HP because of the scenario 7. So I'll try and 5-stack volley that and even tier 90 spec it. But if for any reason you're not confident you'll get it, you can just stand behind the pillars and wait that attack out. I'll walk around the arena, try and get some shadow energy. Living Death again, use my action button. And now just try and do my very best damage. Every 2 auto attacks, I'm going to want to step out of the way of the tail swipe. Just being careful of that. So again, 2 auto attacks, step away. Also want to make sure the boss is invoked. And there you have it. There is a scenario 7 kill at Raksha. Alright, I really think the easiest way to get the sub 142 minute kill at Raksha is essentially to do the Grandmaster strategy, at least for the first phase or 2, and then even if you have a really bad kill, you'll be getting a sub 142 with so much more leeway than Necromancy, Magic, or Melee can offer you. So, as complicated as it is, I'll try and do a dumbed down version without quite as many arrow swaps. I will still be stalling the Tsunami off of the PVM hub dummy, and I have a full breakdown of this coming up in the Grandmaster section. But release Tsunami on the dummy, build some wind stacks with Gricko and Dazing. Surge in, Death Swiftness, Anticipate, ECB, and then 5 abilities. Going to be Gricko, Rapid Fire, then we'll do Bolg, Snapshot, and then Dark Bow.
You may think you hear it speaking.
Then we can do Tendril, Dazing, Incendiary Shot, ECB again. We can Dark Bow, Gricko, Rapid Fire, and then I'll do Snapshot, SGB, Dark Bow, Gricko, and I'll even Dark Bow again, since I didn't phase it here. Just trying to build some adrenaline. I was on the wrong arrows the whole time. I've been on Death Sport arrows, so not trying to be too fancy. You can use your wand spec if you want. And then I will Tsunami there. Try and build some Death Spore stacks. And then Incendiary Shot. Now I'll ECB and just try and do my best abilities here. So Rapid Fire, Snapshot, couple of Dark Bows, activate the action button if you got it, and you just get so much adrenaline there, you see. So again, just trying to follow the Grandmaster strategy, at least for the first phase or 2, and then you can really just improvise and still have so much leeway on that master time. You could do this with Necromancy. In my opinion, it's just so much more consistent with range. You have so much more leeway to make mistakes than you do with Necromancy, or even Magic or Melee. So that's what I recommend, and we're going to have to get the Grandmaster speed kill anyway, so learning at least those first 2 phases will come in really clutch for the master time. Alright, let's take a look at the perfect Raksha kill. So in this one, we've got 5 achievements to go for. We want to pray correctly the whole time. We never want to get any shadow energy. We don't want to have any shadow pools going into P4. We can't ever get stunned, and we don't want to get any shadow bombs on P4. First of all, the easiest challenge in this one is the perfect prayers. You can still soul split flick and make use of split soul, but just make 100% sure that when you're flicking prayers, you're keeping that prayer on during the duration of that attack landing on your player character. And for the first 3 phases, it's essentially a normal kill, just dodging mechanics to the best of your ability. If your kill is really slow and you're about to get the bomb attack, just make sure that you anticipate on the 3rd or 4th auto attack before Raksha does that spec. That way you'll never get stunned. Again, you want to be anticipating preemptively. If you get stunned and freedom, that won't count for this achievement. So for the most part, the first 3 phases are exactly as you would imagine them. One tip I can give you when it comes to dealing with the shadow pools with necromancy is you can actually clear a couple of them early if you want in the second phase. Typically when you're clearing the pools with necromancy on phase 3, you'll want to bloat one of the sections of pools, and then you'll use Threads of Fate for the other 3. So Threads of Fate and then any basic attack will clear the rest of the pools. The thing with the bloat though is you have to make sure that all of the pools are adjacent to each other. If you ever see a section of pools where 3 of them are next to each other and one of them is off diagonally, bloat may or may not get that diagonal one. So if you ever see that, it can be good to deal with those pools in the second phase instead of the third phase. That'll just make doing this challenge with necromancy a lot easier. Alternatively, you could do the old school strategy of using bladed dive with laceration boots and a 2-handed melee weapon like a Noxious Scythe or Laniakia's Spear, and that'll work just fine as well. So that should take care of all of the achievements for the first 3 phases. We got 0 shadow energy because we phased all of the phases on time, and we killed all the shadow pools properly, so killing all the shadow pools properly also deals with that second achievement. We never got stunned on phases 1 through 3, so long as we can do that for phase 4, we'll be good. And we prayed correctly the whole time. And the only challenge to get this perfect kill is to never get the shadow bomb. So to do that, you want to be standing melee distance, or essentially on this platform where Raksha is. Raksha will do 2 auto attacks and then she'll do a tail sweep. You can just step back to dodge the tail sweep, but if you're standing outside of the platform, instead of a tail sweep, Raksha will stun you and she'll do a shadow bomb attack. So best way to avoid that, just standing on the platform, count 2 auto attacks, step out for the tail sweep, step back in, and everything else is really just a kill as normal. So perfect Raksha, more or less just a kill as normal, just being careful to pray flick correctly, and just being careful to clear the pools 100% properly. Unorthodox Raksha. Now this is a fun one. First of all, we're going to have to set up scenario 7 in the first phase. We're going to have to do the same achievement as perfect Raksha, never ever getting stunned. So this is much harder in this unorthodox scenario. We will be wanting to use a clear-headed switch. So I have a separate legs with clear-headed 4. You'll see me using that. The other challenges are to never move during the rock fall. So as soon as you phase Raksha, make 100% sure you're standing still. Typically, you can tank all the rocks with a vitality potion or reflect. Shouldn't be too big of a problem. The other challenge is not to expel the mind flays. Since we set up scenario 7, there's going to be like 5 or 6 mind flays. Best strategy for that is either to barricade or to use reflect. And here's the trickiest one of all, is we don't want to get any tail swipes in P4, so we want to force shadow bombs every single time. Typically those will stun, so again, that's where that clear-headed switch comes in. You want to make sure you're not getting stunned and you're getting the shadow bombs on P4. First of all, we're going to want to set up scenario 7, so in phase 1, we're really not going to want to do a lot of damage. So to set up the scenario 7, you're really not going to want to do a lot of damage on Raksha. It's going to take about 5.5 minutes, and we have to let Raksha do all of the mechanics that he normally would in P1. So he's going to do 4 auto attacks and then a tail swipe, 4 auto attacks, and then he's going to do the stun plus the bomb. Since we're doing the unorthodox kill, we want to make sure that we're using anticipate on either the 3rd or 4th auto attack. That way we don't get stunned by that bomb attack. So I'll just show you one cycle and then I'll speed up through the other 2 cycles as nothing really changes in this first phase. He'll do 1 tail swipe, 1 bomb, make sure you've anticipated for that. He'll do another tail swipe, another bomb. Again, make sure you're anticipated for that, and then he'll do another tail swipe, and finally he'll come and charge himself full of energy and do 5 big magic blast attacks. So we're going to have to do this cycle 3 times. He'll charge up 30% the first time, he'll get up to 90% the second time, and he'll get up to 100% on the 3rd and final cycle. So all the while in this P1, not really doing too much damage. You can build stacks, but just make 100% sure that you're using anticipate preemptively for that bomb attack. We're about 5.5 minutes into the kill and we finally got scenario 7 started. So I'll just talk you through what I'm doing here. I'm going to start off by doing a tier 95 special attack and just trying to do some good damage, get Raksha down to that first phase HP marker of 600,000 HP. I do a big 5-stack volley and tier 95 spec using my necrosis abilities. Since I want to play really safe going into the rockfall challenge, I'm going to let Raksha do the bomb attack first. That way I'm not trolling myself and having to stand still during rockfalls and tanking that shadow energy. So let him do the smoke attack if you want, just make sure you've anticipated beforehand. Once you phase him, make 100% sure you're standing still. Here I opted to use Disruption Shield and a Vitality Potion, and as you can see I tanked the rocks just fine. Just gotta eat some extra jellyfish, sip a few brews, no problem. I'm gonna resummon my Conjures here, and the next special attack we get is gonna be the Mind Flay. So I'm going to be trying to just do some damage and building up my adrenaline to use Barricade. I think using Barricade on this first Mind Flay is going to be the simplest way to deal with this. If you did really good damage, you could actually time it where you're phasing Raksha around the time that the Mind Flays explode, so you can be standing still, tanking the rockfalls while still under Barricade. But in my case, I just phase it normally without Barricade, and I'm going to have to tank these rocks. I'll use Reflect, and you can even use Resonance if you want to absorb one of the rocks. Just eating some extra food, making 100% sure you've tanked all of those. And now I'll go ahead and clear the pools. I'll use Threads of Fate for the first 3 pools, and then I'll use Bloat on this final section here. First spec in P3 is going to be Mind Flays. This time we don't have Barricade, so we're just going to have to tank this. Eat a lot of food, use Reflect. You can even swap to a Spectral Spirit Shield. That'll absorb some more damage. The next spec after those Mind Flays is going to be the one where he stuns you and drops a lot of bombs on your head. So again, on the 3rd or 4th auto attack, make sure you're using Anticipate. That way you don't get stunned. And since we set up Scenario 7, he's going to do a lot more bombs than usual. Just keep running around the arena and doing the best damage you can. I'm going to summon new Conjures here as well. That way I won't have to worry about them as much in P4. And now I'm just going to be focusing on phasing the boss. You can dodge the charge attack or the tail swipe depending on your proximity to Raksha there. I was far away, so I got a charge attack. Just making sure you're dodging that, not getting stunned by that. And now phasing the boss. My damage was pretty slow here, so I'm hoping I don't get another Mind Flay. But I do, and honestly that's not a big problem. I'll just swap to my Spectral Shield and use Reflect again. And look at that, safe and sound still. So now phase 4, now for the fun part. The trick on this one is you're going to want to let Raksha do 2 auto attacks, and then you're going to want to use Anticipate with your clear-headed ability. You never want to be standing melee distance to Raksha, as you want to force the Shadow Bomb. So as you can see, 2 auto attacks, Anticipate, and just try and do your best damage, because ideally we get this done in 3 cycles max. Otherwise the cooldowns are going to be a little bit questionable with Anticipate and Freedom. So clear-headed for Anticipate will actually last for 2 of those Shadow Bomb attacks. Then we're going to get the shield here. During the shield, I just want to build up to Living Death, use Living Death, and build up as many stacks as I can. And I'm not actually going to want to kill the shield properly. I'll just wait it out. That way for sure my Anticipate comes off cooldown, and I can build stacks to try and do my best damage once we're back in the phase. So again, standing behind the pillars so you don't get insta-killed, building some stacks as you can, and once you're out, just try and unleash your best damage with Split Soul, Living Death, Death Skulls, all the good stuff you know how to do with Necromancy by now. And just counting those auto attacks, 2 auto attacks, use your Clear-Headed Anticipate. Clear-Headed Anticipate will last for 2 of the Shadow Bombs. And then if you're getting a 3rd set of Shadow Bombs, you're going to want to use Freedom. Ideally, you get this done in 2 Anticipates and 1 Freedom. Otherwise, like I said, it's going to be a bit dicey with those cooldowns, but there you go. There's how I did Raksha Unorthodox. Alright, welcome to my breakdown on how to get the Grandmaster speed killing time at Raksha of under 1 minute 15 seconds. I'm going to break down the rotation ability by ability, slowing down the clips if need be, and then I'll play a full speed kill with light commentary at the end. Here are my ranged perks. For my relic setup, I'm using Heightened Senses for 110% Adrenaline, Berserker's Fury, or the Darok Relic, and my utility relic of choice is the mobile relic Shadow's Grace. Quick notes on my preset, I'm starting with my magic dual wields equipped as I'll be stalling Tsunami off of PDM hub dummies, and also be using the Soulfire special attack in the final phase. I have 4 EOF amulets, SGB, ECB, Dark Bow, and Zamorak Bow. I think the first three are pretty mainstream, but Zamorak Bow is sort of like a fancier snapshot. Arrows, I'll be using Wen and Full arrows, as well as Death Spore arrows. This rotation also relies on the ability to Wen Spore. Wen Sporing is a mechanic where when using a multi-hitting ability like Gricko, you can benefit from the effects of Wen arrows and Death Spore arrows at the same time. This is most often done with Gricko. To do so, you'll want to start off on Wen arrows, press Gricko, and swap to Death Spores in the same tick. If done properly, you'll have gained stacks for both arrows. Let's start the fight now. Start at Wars, stalling Tsunami off a dummy. To do this, cast Tsunami while being out of range of the dummy and clicking under your feet. Get back to full adrenaline with the crystal, then enter the Raksha instance. I like to dive to this circle texture on the floor, then place my dummy. Target cycle to it and release the Tsunami by pressing any magic auto attack button. In this case, Blood Barrage on my bar. That releases Tsunami, and at the same time I'll switch to my Bolg and use Gricko with Wen arrows to build some stacks. Use Dazing Shot to build more stacks, then disassemble the dummy. Wait until the GCD ends. Wait 2 more ticks, then surge into Raksha. Use Death Swiftness, drink your A-Pot, anticipate for timing, ECB spec right after that. Target cycle Raksha, use Smoke Cloud plus Gricko. Rapid Fire, then Bolg spec. Use Snapshot, and then Dark Bow. Ideally, you phase P1 here. Now for the second phase, aka the hardest phase of the fight. Wen Spore Gricko, switch to full arrows, and then Tendril. You want to do that because you'll likely have gained full Death Spore stacks here, so you don't want to waste those on Tendril. Try and be mindful of your HP and the rock dodging here as well. Switch back to Wen arrows and then Dazing Shot. Switch again to Death Spore arrows and cast Incendiary Shot. Here I like to switch to my full arrow quiver, while switching to my ECB amulet as my next ability is going to be a full arrow Dark Bow spec. Switch to Wen arrows and Gricko to build back more stacks. Then go into a Rapid Fire. In this clip I got bad adrenaline from my Gricko, so I had to use my Limitless ability. Ideally you're phasing into the third phase with or during your Rapid Fire. Now the third phase. This one's rotation is much simpler compared to the last phase. Snapshot, then Saren God Bow, then Dark Bow. Ideally you'll hit the phase HP with the Dark Bow, but you can see in my clip it's just a little bit off, so I use Gricko to hope for more crits that will let me start P4 with high adrenaline. Ideally, you want to be phasing into P4 no later than 40 seconds. I think anything between 35 and 40 is pretty ideal. When phase 4 starts, we should still be on Wen arrows from the previous phase, use Corruption Shot on Raksha, then switch to your magic dual wields. As you're walking into the boss, use Ingenuity the Human Sigil and then Soulfire weapon spec. You want to InGen this so it does full damage. If you're low adrenaline, however, you'd want to skip this Soulfire spec and replace it with the Dragon Breath. Afterwards, use Concentrated Blast and then Tsunami. It's going to be a 4-stack Tsunami. Switch back to your Bolg and Wen Spore Gricko. This is where Grandmaster speed kills go to die. If you're unlucky with the Death Spore arrows here, you can try and improvise with piercing shots and basics, but more likely than not, your Grandmaster timer dream is dead, and you'll just have to settle for a strong master kill, around a minute 25 or so. You just gotta hope that you're lucky next time. So after you Wen Spore Gricko here, play around your stacks until you have the free ability. So in this case, I got 3 stacks, then I used Piercing Shot, hoping to get 2 more stacks. I got 2 more stacks, but I still did another basic ability that I actually did not need to do. As soon as you have your 5 stacks, place your Death Swiftness. Once your Death Swiftness is down, use ECB spec. Here there are 2 options. Number 1 is what you see here. If you have a good amount of time before the tail swipe, you can use Wen arrows, then Rapid Fire, and dump your EOF specs. Option 2, if you don't have a lot of time before tail swipe, you want to switch to full arrows, use Bolg spec, switch back to Wen arrows, use Gricko, dodge the tail swipe, then you can move back in and use Rapid Fire and dump EOF specs. So in this kill, I have 2 Raksha autos before the tail swipe, so I opted to go right into Rapid Fire. After Rapid Fire, the rotation is very easy to remember since it's basically just dumping EOF specs. I went with a Zamorak Bow first, followed by Saren God Bow, followed by Dark Bow. To kill the boss now, you may have to improvise your last couple abilities. In any event, switch to full arrows now and dump whatever strongest abilities your adrenaline will allow. Either Dark Bow again, or Limitless Snapshot, then Tendril. In my case here, I did Dark Bow, Gricko. And there you have it, there's the rotation breakdown for the Grandmaster Raksha timer. So now let's watch the full speed kill. Alright, starting the fight at Wars, getting full adrenaline, then I'm gonna click the dummy to target it, cast Tsunami to stall it, click back on the crystal to get my adrenaline back up, go through the Raksha portal, start the instance, I like to dive around this circle mark, target cycle, release my Tsunami, switch to Bolg, use Gricko, use Dazing, 2 ticks after, surge in, use Death Swiftness, anticipate to kill a little time, ECB spec, target cycle, Smoke Cloud, Gricko, go into Rapid Fire. After Rapid Fire, I'm going to use Bolg, Snapshot, and then Dark Bow. Ideally it phases here, in this kill it does, we even get a little bit of a pre-phase. When Spore Gricko, Full Tendril, when Dazing, Death Spore, and Send. Switch to Full Arrows and ECB OF, then I'm going to use Full Arrow Dark Bow, switch back to When Arrows, use a Gricko. Ideally I get a Dren, this time I didn't, so I Limitless Rapid. And then when P3 starts, I'm going to use Snap, SGB, Debo, and then Gricko to build back up my Adrenaline. I got pretty good at Dren here. I hit phase HP at around 36 seconds, entering P4 at about 40 seconds. Gonna attack Raksha, use Corruption, switch to my Mage, dual wield, Soulfire spec, Concentrated Blast, and then Tsunami. When Spore Gricko, play around the Death Spore stacks, try to get to 100, then use Death Swiftness. I have time here, so I'm gonna go for ECB, switch back to When Arrows, start my Rapid Fire, and then start dumping EUF specs after that. So the order I chose is to do Zamorak Bow, followed by SGB, followed by Dark Bow. And then to finish off the boss, I switched to my Full Arrows, did one more Dark Bow, and then a Gricko. Had I not had to use my Limitless in the earlier phase, I maybe could have done Limitless Snapshot. So could it have been a little bit faster? Maybe, but was it still a Grandmaster speed kill? Absolutely. And that's gonna be it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, as I'll be making guides just like this covering every single combat achievement at every single boss in the game.